Hey, this is Matt. Once again, we're about to the videos of the paid requests, this time from Kyle. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film that I honestly haven't seen probably since around when this came out. Because I didn't see it in theaters, but I think my aunt, that was a time when I think we're about ready to get cable. Just before that, we only had like 4 channels for the longest time in our family because we lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. And then we only had like 4 channels and didn't have a computer. It'd be a few years later before that. I think 97 is the first we got cable, I want to say. But I mean, my aunt would send us videotapes of stuff she had taped because she had cable for the longest time. And one of those tapes had this, Disney films, including this on it. I remember liking it because I liked Tim Allen. Because at the time, I was watching Home Improvement. That was on one of the 4 channels, ABC. And I love Home Improvement. It's one of my favorite sitcoms. I don't think that show's ever been on Blu-ray. There probably was a DVD set, I would assume. I would think. But yeah, I love Home Improvement. And this is when Tim Allen started to get into movies because he had been in the Santa Claus, which was a hit. He was the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. That was a hit. That was, 95, Toy Story? And so now you have this, 97. Now, live action wise, Tim Allen doesn't have the best track record when it comes to movies. Again, the live action, I'm not talking about Toy Story and the franchise, I'm talking about live action. Because Santa Claus is okay, but I don't rewatch it a lot. I don't love the film, but I can watch it. Yeah, it's there. Sequels, not big on. After this, he did For Richer or Poorer with him and Kirstie Alley. Not that great of a movie. Joe Somebody. I honestly don't remember a thing about that movie, and I know I've seen it. Which actually, the director of this the director of this film, he did a lot of episodes of Home Improvement. He had directed The Santa Claus. He directed Joe Somebody. He would go on to direct Tim Allen's other sitcom, Last Man Standing, which lasted a few years. And then it got canceled pretty much because of his political beliefs and all this other stuff. But yeah, his live action films, Galaxy Quest is great. I would say Galaxy Quest is the best film he's been in, including the Toy Story movies, which I don't mind some of them, the Toy Stories, but I do think Galaxy Quest is the best film Tim Allen has been in. That's a very solid sci-fi comedy movie. Very solid. But the other live action films like For Richer or Poorer, and again the Joe Somebody, I don't remember. There was another one, Zoom. I didn't mind Wild Hogs for what it was as a time waster, because I like the cast. Martin Lawrence, Tim Allen, John Travolta, William H. Macy, I think Ray Liotta. Not all the jokes work, and there's some juvenile stuff in there, but I like seeing the cast having fun, so I had fun. I did watch Wild Hogs, so. And then if he appears in a movie, it's kind of maybe a small supporting role or something. I just want him getting at for 4 minutes is that he hasn't had the strongest film career. Again, the Santa Claus was a franchise, Toy Story was a franchise. So I could just say that's successful enough, but I just meant as a leading man in live action, it wasn't, Jim Carrey or Bill Murray or these other comedians. But I didn't still have Home Improvement, which is a lot of fun. Like I said, Galaxy Quest and Wild Hearts I do like. And finally, after 5 minutes, I don't hate this film. I liked it enough. I think pretty much every review I saw on YouTube, they despised the movie. I'm not going to defend the film. I liked it enough. I was entertained enough. I think because I like Tim Allen, I like Martin Short, who's in it. I thought the kid, which I forget his name, but he was actually Jimmy Olsen in Superman Returns. I'm sure he's done other stuff. He played it where it's not too... He wasn't annoying. He wasn't yelling, screaming. A lot of times he was more subtle than I thought he was going to be, but that was actually a good thing. So a lot of moments he just let scenes play out and let the scene kind of... He didn't over-embellish. I think that was the right decision. So the film was sweet and lighthearted enough that it made for a fun time for a Disney film. Especially compared to a Disney film nowadays. It was also cool to see people like JoBeth Williams from Poltergeist. She's in this. What was it? David Ogden Stiers, which I remember he was on the TV show The Dead Zone. He was on MASH, that TV show from back in the day. Been a lot of stuff. Pretty much this is a remake of a French film called Little Indian Big City, which I never saw it. Which, I mean, there's been other remakes of French films. Three Men and a Baby, which is a personal favorite of mine. That was a remake of a French film. The Birdcage, that was another remake. I think Martin Short, I think Three Fugitives, with him in Ned Nolte, I think that was another remake of a French comedy. So it's definitely a common trend to do that. I would still say I like Three Men and a Baby and The Birdcage more. But anyway, the setup is Tim Allen and Martin Short. They work together. They work the stock market. Kind of interesting watching this nowadays because when they deal with the stock market, they come out and they're right in front of the Twin Towers. Like they're on the floor and the camera, you see up to the Twin Towers behind them. So it's a nice reminder of those buildings we sadly lost, and sadly much, much more so the people we lost. On a side, remember that stupid thing, that notion of, we don't tape movies, we don't erase the Twin Towers. Oh yeah, that's such a great decision. I don't know what the hell was the thinking with that. That should never have been thought of for 5 seconds. So whoever that was that thought that, you're an idiot. But thankfully, there was an idiot that wasn't listened to. No, they should be remembered, not forgotten. Crying out loud. But anyway, he has a fiance, and he needs to find JoBeth Williams, his ex-wife, to finalize that divorce, so he can marry this new younger lady who's again his fiance. So he goes visits her. She's a doctor that looks at indigenous tribes. And he's like, come on, we gotta go get the divorce papers ready. She's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm busy. By the way, your boat ride left. You're gonna be here for a few days. So relax. Oh, by the way, that kid there, that's her son. And it's like, what? And then ultimately, he meets his son. They try to bond a little bit. He makes a promise, when you're a man, I'll take you to New York. But then unbeknownst to him, he becomes a man technically in like a day or two, based on their rituals. He's forced to keep his promise. Takes the kid to New York. He's a fish out of water, much like Crocodile Dundee and other movies. And it's going to go with, there's going to be friction at first, and fish out of water antics, and by the end, going to accept the son for who he is, and the bonds don't grow closer as father and son. Blah blah blah. At the end, it's a Disney movie. Now, do all the jokes work? No. Sometimes there's some weird jokes that are put in there, and I'm like, could we rewrite this? Like, for example, the kid's ritual, like his tribe name means tap piss. And Timon's like, what? Well, he picked himself. He was only 6. I'm like, well, maybe that's why he shouldn't be picking stuff. Or there's a bit later on when they're trying to give him a name and he says, what was the line? I like to pick man who's extremely well endowed. Which I thought was a weird line for a Disney movie. Yeah, I got a big dick. Tim, it's Disney. Okay, extremely well endowed. Tim is Disney. Fuck it, fine, leave it in. So, like I said, not all the jokes work, but again, I like Tim Allen's persona. Sadly, JoBeth Williams is not in the film a whole lot, but the scenes that she's in, I thought she worked well enough with Tim as they talk about their relationship. Like, you know, you just left me, you didn't talk to me. I tried to talk to you for 6 months. Well, I was busy, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, I walked out on you, and I didn't want to hold you down, and yeah, I had a kid here, and there's so many times I wanted to write you, but I didn't know how to do it, and so you have the guy who's a workaholic. Again, that's another trope that's in a lot of stuff. Eddie Murphy has played that trope multiple times in The Haunted Mansion, the Imagine That. What was the one with the 100 words? What the hell? I forgot what the hell it was called. 1,000 words? Something like that. So that's another typical trope. And there's a lot of stuff that you kind of watch, you go, okay, that wouldn't fit today. Like when the kid is coming to America, he's on the plane half naked. I'm like, nah. A plane nowadays, I don't even think back then would have a kid half naked. And then when he leaves, he's got his bow and arrow. I'm like, they're certainly not going to let a kid have a damn bow and arrow onto a plane. You barely have a toothpick, let alone a bow and arrow onto the plane at the end of the film. Like, fuck that, that ain't going to happen. I even know back then they would let a kid, half-ass naked. Well, I think he's wearing clothes at the end, but he probably brought that bow and arrow with him to be doing now that I think about it. So, yeah, you know, how the hell did he get on a plane half-ass naked with a bow and arrow? No wonder he got... Never mind. So while I'm saying a lot of negatives, like I said, what worked for me was some of the corny lines by Tim Allen I liked just the way he said it. Ah, bird who can't sing? Hoko, oh no. Yeah, it's silly and stupid, but I thought it was funny because of the way he said it. The kid has a giant spider. I like that a good chunk of it is a real spider, because nowadays it'd be all like CGI. And there may be one or two that maybe like there's some puppetry, but for a good chunk of it is an actual spider. I do appreciate that. I know it's not saying much, but sadly with films nowadays, you go back, you do appreciate the smaller things, because we take it for granted, thinking this should be, no, that's not always how it's going to be. Because this same scene would be a CGI, and it will look fake. While using a spider, you're more into the scene. And I don't blame Tim Allen, because if I saw a spider that damn big, I'd be acting the same thing, because I don't like spiders either. So I can relate to that. And there are a few lines I did like Tim Allen saying. Like when he gets there, he's got to get to his job, talk to his boss, and the kid joins. Tim says something, the kid takes it literally, lets the spider loose. Tim's like, why? Why do you let the spider loose? You said you. He said he was going to kill you. Oh, no, no, that's all. Listen. No. You don't kill chiefs around here. Only postal employees kill chiefs. I got a chuckle out of that. Martin Short, I'm a fan of his. He was a nice plus for the movie and his reactions. Like when he sees the spider in the car, it's like, ah! Like Martin Short made that work. There's another bit where when the kid's invited to stay at his place, the kid doesn't realize that the goldfish are pets. And like, you can understand it because of the way he's raised. He's so used to hunting food. So yeah, there's a pigeon. He kills it because it's birds. That's how they killed back then. Same with fish. Okay, we hunt for fish. Doesn't realize that they're pets. And when he does, he's sorrowful. He's not oblivious and doesn't care about Martin Short's feelings. You tell from his face he's with sorrow. He's sorry. He even tries to get other fish. Granted, they're like big looking fish, but he tried. And even then, he's like looking down. He's ashamed. That's what I mean. Like the way the kid played it, he played it much more of a subtle way, not a zany, crazy, exuberant way. And that's why he made him a lot less annoying than you would think, a lot less cringeworthy compared to like some of the later like Disney Channel TV movies and how they would act. Golly gee, I gotta add wackies for Disney. No, you don't. I thought this kid played that type of role well enough for what the script he had. It was an earnest, innocent performance, in a way. And like Martin Short, like that fish, one of the funny jokes is his son goes, well, Dad, there's still one left. Cooked, but this is my favorite. Remember when I would tap my finger on the glass and we move it? Move along with my finger? Now I have to do it like this. I thought that was pretty funny. Oh, another recognizable person. The daughter of Martin Short is Lily Sobieski. I'm like, is that who the hell I think it is? Yeah. She hasn't really worked much nowadays, but she was in The Glass House. She was in Joyride with Steve Zahn and Paul Walker, which is a film I do like. So I'm like, oh shit, she's in this. Okay. Like I said, not all the jokes work. Some of this bit, I wouldn't call it edgy, but it's like the spider gets loose and Tim Allen's fiance gets scared and the kid's looking and she's like, ooh, nice poochie poochie. I mean, how many Disney films do we have a dick joke, well endowed, and a pussy joke? But I just with Tim Allen maybe wanted to push a little bit. Plus, again, the director worked on a lot of Home Improvement, as well as later on. He worked a lot with Tim Allen, so he definitely knew the guy's humor. But like I said, there's sweet moments, like when they're in the city and the kid pulls them into the street dance, and Tim Allen's trying to dance, and he does a bit of this. Yeah, it's silly because everyone starts dancing, and there's even like a Hasidic Jew all of a sudden. Like, where the hell did he come from? Like a rabbi or something? But its heart was in the right place. Yes, they do play the dad a lot, where he has the blowgun from the kid, and he shoots it, and it either hits his foot. But I will admit, each time the running dad happened, I did chuckle a bit. Like he actually hits his foot. I liked his reaction to it. And then he's sitting there like this, and the kid sees it and comforts him and puts a. Granted, I would have lied him back down, because to sleep like this would, I would say, completely screw up his back. But apparently it was fine. I did laugh at the bit that he tried to shoot it, it bounced off and it hit the cat. And the cat fell asleep. And the way, oh no. Maybe because it reminds me of his character in Home Improvement, because I like that show so much. I mean, I don't know. Would I say this was the closest movie form he was to Tim the Toolman Taylor? I don't know. Some of his mannerisms, yes. Just some would say you just see that in most of his performances, to be fair. But I like the touch that when he has the cat, you always hear her purring. I think that helps sell it. So it's a puppet, but he's like trying to wake it up, but the fat's always purring. I think it was a good choice to keep in the audience the notion that it's still alive, it's still safe. So even though this crazy stuff's happened, don't worry, folks, it's still alive, still safe. It's purring, it's content. See, that's a little detail, because some people would not think of it. So yeah, you could assume it's alive, but visually, audio wise, you get the notion that it seemed like, oh, he's playing with a dead cat. Ooh. But again, the fact that they keep the purring sound consistently in there, again, might not seem like an important detail, but to me it is. Again, sometimes little details that make something like that work. You do have this subplot with this Russian mafia, which I don't know if it fits the best in this, but pretty much at the beginning of the film, they try and buy this coffee. He had told Martin Short to sell it. He didn't because he didn't get confirmation. Now they're in deep shit. In order to get some money, they talk to this Russian guys. Tim Allen tells them no. They leave, but Martin Short's desperate, so he says yes. Then he regrets it. Then they have to figure out what to do next. You get to a finale where there's a little bit of a, not an action scene, but Martin Short gets tied down. The kid fights a bit. I do like Tim Allen trying to fight where he's watching his kid. He takes someone down with the thumb. So Tim Allen tries to do it. And the bad guy's like, what are you doing, man? Then he tries to do it. I just like the fact he keeps trying to do it. It's not working. And the kid tells him, well, there's another thing you could do. Kicks him in the nuts. Now, granted, with the way that ends, like Ogden Stiers gets freaked out by the spider. The two other henchmen gets beaten up. They leave. But I could still see them coming back. With like reinforcements or other stuff. So, like, if it was one thing, if there's like the cops got them, okay. But the fact that they just leave in the car, I'm like, they could just come back. They could easily come back. There's no reason for them not to come. Yeah, they're scared now, but give them a day or a week, they could come back with 50 other guys and just blow your place up. But I just we're not supposed to think about that because it's a Disney film. And yeah, that was surprising that they didn't even get arrested. Thought that was a bit weird. So like I said, it does have its issues. I'm not going to call this a classic, but Some of the bonding moments between Tim and the kid I thought were rather sweet. Again, the kid being easygoing and innocent. Uh, some funny moments with Tim. I like the moment they have at the end when they say goodbye to each other. I thought it was lighthearted enough to not get me mad or angry, despite its not perfect, way of doing things. But yeah, the Martin Short was fun. Again, Tim Allen being a fan of his. There are moments that did make me chuckle. There are moments I thought were rather sweet. There's a lot. Again, there are moments that are a bit too silly, or a bit too, huh? Again, like at the end there, you don't get on that plane with a bow and arrow. Bullshit. What? But yeah, it's one of those things that it's a silly time waster, and I don't can't even say nostalgic yet. I always saw this like one time, but I mean, these are the type of films that were made at that time period that, again, are just meant to for escapism, and you do a lot better, but you do a lot worse too. So maybe it just depends on how you feel about Tim Allen. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Maybe it comes down to like if the kid was more if the kid was annoying or irritating, if Martin Short wasn't in there, among other stuff, maybe I would like this a lot less. But as is, yeah, it was fun enough as a time waster. So with that said, we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.